Hi there everyone, welcome back to my channel. Now today we're going to be talking about some high value cards within the Final Fantasy trading card game. Now there's lots of cards that are of decent value within the card game itself, such as Foil Wall or Stoller. There's lots of little bits that are within the game itself, but I wanted to turn some attention to some little rarities that if you happen to have them in your collection, you might be sitting on a small gold mine that you weren't previously aware of. Now before we go into the cards themselves, I would love to encourage you guys to check out the Noctis Playmat giveaway that you still have just over a week to enter, so I'll leave a link in the description box below for that. I'd also really love to see you guys join in on my Discord channel, which has been flourishing recently. We've got players for Final Fantasy XIV, players for the mobile games, obviously players for the trading card game as well, and it's really blossoming, so I'd really love you guys to come and join in with that. And also to follow me on Twitch. I've been streaming a lot recently, doing things like Smash Bros, Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, and obviously the card game as well. Like I've been doing some live matches of that, so I'd really love you guys to follow that, as well as my Patreon channel. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll leave links in all of the description box below for all of them, and you guys can come and find me on there. Now the first card that I want to talk about is one that I actually think a lot more people have than they realise, and this is the Opus 1 original print Squall. Now, Squall normally looks like the picture that you can see on my right hand side here. However, if you got the very first batch of printing for Opus 1, you'll notice that the Squall looks a little bit different. Now there are a couple of cards that look like this. However, Squall stands out because of the placement of his gunblade being in an unfortunate position. Now people seem to really like this card, and so I mean I've seen copies of this which for a rare is pretty expensive, around the £10 to £15 mark on eBay. So what I'm doing is, obviously to you guys that are in the US or in other countries, I'm obviously in the UK, so therefore I'm going to be doing my valuations on pounds. So obviously convert them as you will, and I'm sure that they'll work out for you just fine. Now the next card I want to talk about quickly is a card that was released quite recently, but is actually very, very highly in demand and fetches anywhere from sort of £30 to £40 a card. And this is the Laswell promo that was given out at Final Fantasy Brave Exvius's Fan Festa, as well as the Winter Cup in Wales at the end of 2018. Now, Laswell is a really good card anyway, but to see artwork like this and for it to be quite so limited, now I'm pretty sure that this is one of the most limited runs they've ever had on a card. So honestly, if you happen to grab one of these from, say, Winter Cup, or if you went to Final Fantasy Brave Exvius Fan Festa at the end of the year, then honestly, if you're not playing the game, then you could trade this to pretty much into a deck if you wanted to. Now, if you guys are fans of Dissidia NT, and I actually still really like that game, by the way, I actually still really enjoy it. I am a Vayne main, and if anyone wants to hit me up to play a few games, then definitely leave a comment below. But if you're a big fan of Dissidia NT when it came out, you'll notice that there were actually packages of promo cards for Dissidia NT that contained Cloud, Warrior of Light, and Lightning. Now, if you have the sealed pack of these all together, then you can get anywhere between like £30 to £35 for one of these. Now I've seen varying prices obviously for all of these across eBay, but this seems to be the ones that have sold the most. I've checked out completed listings, sold listings, and things like that to see where people are going with these. And honestly, of the three, Cloud was the only one that was really playable back in the day. And there was a lot of hype around that Cloud. I actually am quite surprised to know that Cloud, even in its original printing, actually still fetches a decent price even now, knowing that it's not actually that great anymore. It's quite interesting to see that sometimes the actual playability of a card doesn't matter in terms of valuing it. So if you've still got Opus 1 Legendary Foil Clouds, you might be sitting on a good amount of money on them too. Now, a card that's very, very hotly in demand at the moment because it was released quite recently is Chinese Full Art Promo Stoller. Similarly to how we had Full Art Noctis for Opus 7, the Chinese release of FFTCG is a little bit behind the rest of the world, so they've not long had Opus 5. So the Chinese box topper was actually Stoller. Now Stoller is a really, really good card anyway, and I know that people have been like selling copies of these for like £35 to £40. I actually don't particularly enjoy the secondary market, just as a quick heads up. I much prefer trading, but I like to trade fairly for things, so I think knowing your values when it comes to trading for cards, certainly with as higher rarity as these, is important. So if you're planning on trading for a card like this, then knowing its value is actually pretty good for you. But Stoller is a very, very popular card. I actually listed it as my best card of 2018 in a very recent video, and it features very heavily in a lot of decks. So any kind of rarity upgrade for a card like that is bound to fetch some value in the long run. Similarly to Stoller, in China they've just announced what the box topper is going to be for Opus 6 for them, and that's going to be vulgar. Now, vulgar isn't the most popular card in the world over here, But the fact that it has a legendary upgrade in rarity to being a full art, and the artwork as a full art is actually very, very pretty, I must say, means that I would imagine that traders are going to be kind of trying to grab this in large quantities so that they can move them on to other people. So I definitely, if you come across one of these, then it's going to be a rarity, and I would grab it, though obviously the card isn't out yet, so we don't know a proper value for it. Now, at the beginning of 2017, this card was released as a promotion for the 30th anniversary of Final Fantasy as a whole, and therefore fetches a pretty large kind of value to a lot of people, and that's Gibran. Now, Gibran was just a rare in Opus 1, but this particular version of Gibran has the 30th anniversary stamp written on the card, and therefore is very, very hotly in demand by a lot of players and a lot of collectors for anything Final Fantasy related, even outside of the TCG. So if you happen to grab, and these were given away free, by the way, so if you happen to grab one of these at a Comic-Con or any convention that heavily featured Final Fantasy TCG at that sort of time period, then you might have one of these. And honestly, having looked on like eBay prices and stuff like that, these are fetching upwards of like £50 each. So if you happen to have these, I'd definitely start pulling them out and start thinking about doing something with them. And then the last card that I wanted to talk about is actually not really playable within the TCG at all, and that's going to be the Cloud 001 promo. When the game was first announced, and at various conventions, again, these were given away for free as a way of promoting the game. Now, the prices for these will vary wildly online. Like the cheapest I've seen it go for is about £40 to £45. I've seen people put them up for crazy amounts of money and then having sold. So that, having cards like this, again, you wouldn't think it's basically just a calling card for the game and just a way of advertising. But things like this are very, very premium to collectors within any kind of franchise really, and Final Fantasy being such a beloved franchise, it makes sense that collectors are going to want memorabilia for things like that, even if they don't play the game themselves. So again, if you went to conventions during the dawn of the Final Fantasy TCG, you might have one of these and not actually realise that it has some value. So if you went with friends or anything like that and they kind of like grabbed one and didn't really think about it, you may want to let them know. Now, these are just a few examples of Final Fantasy trading cards that are very, very valuable to collectors, more so than players for the most part, except for things like the full art promo with Stoller. But if you are a collector for these things, for even memorabilia of Final Fantasy in general, then it's definitely something that may be worth sharing out to people to see if you can get hold of cards like these, because they may not be around for all that long in terms of limited print runs and things like that. I myself have given out copies of these cards, like primarily the Gibran promos at events that I've done for Square Enix, and honestly, people don't realise that some of these free cards or free promotional material actually become memorabilia later down the line. So if you have anything like this, then it's definitely worth having a look, or if you even think that you might have something like this, it's definitely worth having a look through your collection or stuff that you've acquired from conventions and stuff to see if you have some of these, because you never know. As I said at the beginning of this video, you might be sitting on a gold mine and not actually realise it. So that's going to be it for this video. If I've missed any cards or anything like that that you think are really, really high value that should have been on this list, then definitely let me know in the comments below. And don't forget about the Noctis Playmat giveaway. Again, there is a link in the description box for that. And don't forget to check out all of my social media links like Discord, Patreon, Twitch, Facebook, all of those good stuff, so that you can, join in more with the community that I've built for myself and I'm very, very proud of, I have to say. Anyways, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more content to do with Final Fantasy TCG, Opera Omnia, card paintings, all sorts of different things. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye!